All right, welcome to tonight's show. So, what is going on with strategy and going to 352 price point after hours? Bitcoin is now $93,000 right now. What does this mean for the price of Bitcoin? Potentially going to 100,000. We'll find out in today's video. Also, what price resistant points does the strategy have to pass through to go to higher highs? And then additionally, what the heck is going on where the Treasury is buying back its own treasuries? Okay. The Treasury of the United States is buying back their own treasuries. Why would they do that? We're going to cover all of that in the show right now. Not financial advice, not tax advice, not legal advice. If you want to get the 2-minute updates of my actual shows, there is a new platform called MGame down below. You can go snag it. You get 2-minute updates on Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, other stocks as well, from my AI straight to your phone. The platform is being released in a couple weeks. You can get on the mailing list right away. Okay. So let's jump in on the actual price points of what's going on here in the marketplace. So as I said, strategies at 352 after hours, Bitcoin's at 93,000. What is the basic deal? Why is this actually happening? So first things first is strategy went up about 9.5% today. In the regular trading hours, it was about 342 or so at the close. Right now, it's hovering around 350 after hours. And it's a big move, we know, because Bitcoin is pumping again. So that's very, very good news. Strategy now owns about $48 billion worth of Bitcoin. So that's 531,000 plus Bitcoin that they hold. We know they did a big buy this week and jumped in another 6,500 Bitcoin this week. And they keep buying and they keep buying. And one of the ways they're doing is by issuing shares. And as they issue shares, we give them money and they buy Bitcoin, and they're creating a treasure chest, a war chest of digital gold, which is super, super exciting. So why Wall Street cares? Why is Wall Street jumping in the game? If you missed my video yesterday, I talked about the traditional financial systems and also the new financial system, which is, of course, Bitcoin and crypto and the new era, and how the two are merging with strategy, because strategy comes from a traditional financial system being a stock, but it also owns Bitcoin, which is the new financial system. So you put the two of them together, and what is Wall Street saying about this? But here's a fact, okay? 13,000 institutions now own strategy. 13,000 of them, okay? 55 million people are exposed to strategy. 55 million through ETFs, through retirement accounts, through also owning the stock directly like some of us do, not financial advice, not tax advice, not legal advice. So is Wall Street starting to pay attention? Yes. Is Wall Street understanding how to actually price this stock? No. If you watched yesterday's video, you'll understand this. If you didn't, go watch it, because I don't think anybody knows how to price strategy right now. I just don't think they know how. It should be worth more than it is right now. And as Bitcoin continues to climb, I think Bitcoin will continue to climb. We'll see strategy stock go up and up and up. The question is, what price is it going to go to? Now, good news for Bitcoin and strategy. 381 million flowed into US Bitcoin ETFs. It's the largest daily jump since January. So this week, it is a good sign. And we are starting to see the flows come back into the ETFs, which is a big sign, because we know that's one of the things that pushed Bitcoin up to higher highs over the last several months. And then it went down, of course, to lower lows, comparatively to its all-time high of $109,000. So this is good news. The Bitcoin rocket fuel will then push strategy up. Now, if you look at a little technical analysis on Bitcoin, you look at something called the simple moving average and the exponential moving average. There's the 100-day simple moving average. What the hell does that mean? That basically means what is the actual average of the stock's price over the last 100 days, okay? What is the average of the stock's price over the last 100 days? All right, so that's basically what it means. You average up, you take 100 days, and then you divide it into, you divide out the last 100 days and you average out the price, and you get the average price. Now, the exponential moving average is actually looking at the price as it's later in those 100-day periods, okay? So it's not the average over 100 days, but it's looking at the most frequent price recently. And so it shows you kind of short-term more of what the stock is moving at. In this case, it shows you what Bitcoin's moving at, and Bitcoin is not a stock. But the moving average for Bitcoin, the 100-day simple moving average, is $91,000, and currently we're at $93,000. The 100-day exponential moving average is $88,352, right? And currently we're above that at $93,000. So is it a bullish sign, an indicator for Bitcoin? Absolutely, right? Now, MSTR, what are the key resistance levels that we're looking at right now? Well, we just broke through one recently in the last week, but one of the next key resistance levels is $360. So we hit 352 after hours today. Will we smash through $360? It's probable. Okay. Then we have to look at 390, 400 as the next price resistance, kind of a psychological price level, breaking through the 400 level again. And then the all-time high of $475 would be the next marker. Now, $475 on regular trading hours. If you look at the after hour of MicroStrategy, it reached 540, I believe, after hours. So that's actually the all-time high at this point, and that's what we're looking to break back through, right? If Bitcoin goes from 93,000 and breaks 100,000, and let's say goes up 10%, that would be about 102,000. If Bitcoin goes up 10%, strategy is probably going to go up 20%. Okay, so you can do the math from here. 350 or 340 right now, add 20% to that, we break through 400. All right. Not financial advice, just giving you what could potentially happen and what's going on. Now, what's going on with the US Treasuries? Really, really weird. What is a buyback? What the heck does that actually mean? What does it actually mean for you and why should you care? Okay. PC goes bullish. Remy says we're still early, right? And somebody else is asking, should we buy at those prices? Can't give financial advice on it. I can tell you that a couple of weeks ago, I can say personally, about a month and a half ago, or whatever the day was, when Bitcoin or when strategy was around these price points at 340, I was buying in at 340, 320, and then I bought into a leveraged form of MSTR, which is around the price levels that MSTR is at. Okay, so did I buy at these price levels? Yes. All right. Did I buy a little bit lower than these price levels recently? Yes. All right. So that's personally something I did. But the majority of my MSTR positions I bought back in February of 2024 when it was low, 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 low. Make sense? All right. So, and the majority of my Bitcoin was bought in 2018, 2018, my first buy, 2021 was my majority buys, 2020, 2021. And in 2023, I piled in again. Okay. So just giving you the facts on it. So if I were looking at it right now, would I potentially buy with some fresh powder? Yes, I would potentially buy. I have some more fresh powder coming in a couple weeks that I'm going to ape in if we're staying around these price levels or lower. Okay. So that's my personal opinion, not financial advice, not tax advice, not legal advice. Now, what the hell is happening with these treasuries being bought back? The U.S. Treasury Department buys back their own treasuries. What is a treasury? Really simple. Pension funds, countries, other countries buy our treasuries. Pension funds, financial companies, they come in and they buy, they basically buy treasuries from the U.S. It's like a bond. So they go to the U.S. Hey, here is my money. Pay me some interest. That's what a treasury is. Hey, U.S., here is my money. Pay me some interest. So what the U.S. did today, they decided that they're doing a buyback. And so the U.S. is basically saying, here's what we're doing. We are going to buy back the treasuries from you. So pension companies that bought treasuries, other financial companies that bought treasuries, they're going to them and saying, hey, here you go. I want to buy back the treasury that you bought from me. So they're literally buying back their own bonds. They're buying them back. Now, what does that actually do? So if I go to you and I go, I'm buying it back from you, that means I'm giving you cash back. So what's happening is they're actually giving cash back. So what do they do when they give cash back? They give cash back to pension companies, even companies like BlackRock, all different kinds of hedge funds. And now these financial companies that the U.S. is giving money back to, because they're saying, we're buying back your the treasuries you bought from us. Weird, right? We're buying them back. Okay. Now it gives cash back to those actual financial companies. What are those financial companies going to do with that liquid cash that they have? They're going to put it back into investments. They're going to put it into Bitcoin. They're going to put it into gold. They're going to put it into real estate, right? So pretty interesting, huh? This is what's going down right now. Now, why is this happening? Why is it happening, right? Well, one of the reasons why it could be happening is Trump is beating on the financial system right now, right? Whatever you think of him, doesn't matter. This is what's happening, okay? He's beating on the financial system. He's saying, Powell, wake up, man. He's like, cut the interest rates, cut the interest rates. There's all this talk about wanting to fire Powell, get rid of him because he's not cutting the interest rates. And in a time right now where people were worried about recession or are worried about recession, he's like, dude, cut the interest rates. Because if Powell cuts the interest rates, it puts liquidity back into the marketplace. Liquidity just meaning cash. cuts the interest rates, cash goes back into the marketplace. Why? It's cheaper to borrow money. It's cheaper to get loans, cheaper interest rates that somebody's paying. So if it's cheaper to get money and borrow money, people are going to borrow more money. Okay. And that means there's more money that goes into the economy, more cash, more money into investments like Bitcoin and MicroStrategy, et cetera. So one of the ways is if the Fed cuts interest rates, but the Fed's not doing that. Okay. So Trump's causing all this commotion and the Fed's not doing it. So what happens with the U.S. Treasury Department, which is another way to actually get more cash and liquidity into the economy? Well, the U.S. Treasury Departments, they're feeling the pressure. Why? Because voters, the political environment is basically going, yo, like what's going on? We need some liquidity. We need cash in the economy. So what does the U.S. Treasury Department do? Feeling the pressure because Powell's not caving, even though he's getting beaten on. So the U.S. Treasury Department's going, okay, all right, we're going to put cash into the economy. And the U.S. Treasury Department buys back its own damn bonds. And now you got all these institutions sitting with a whole bunch of cash. And what are they going to do with a whole bunch of cash? They're not putting it into U.S. Treasuries. They don't want that interest rate anymore. They just got bought back. So they have all this cash. What are they going to do right now? What do you think they're going to do? Put it in the chat box. They're buying Bitcoin. All right. Who else is buying Bitcoin right now? Japan's rolling into Bitcoin. UK's rolling into Bitcoin. It's starting. ETFs are getting the flows back into Bitcoin. It's happening. And this is why you're seeing the price of Bitcoin at $93,000 right now. Okay. Now, word on the street is, could we see $100,000 Bitcoin? The word on the street from a few analysts, or one analyst in particular that's actually saying that. But this is interesting, fascinating news. We know gold is up 30%. So gold's on a boom. Why? Because during shaky times, people move towards these kind of safer assets, so to speak, gold being a safer asset. Bitcoin, not yet fully a safe asset, a risk asset, but people are looking to put money in Bitcoin because the dollar is weakening. The dollar's weakening. The dollar is at its lowest point in 3 years. So with the dollar weak, people are like, I don't want to invest in the US dollar. I don't want to invest in US treasuries. The US just bought back a whole bunch of damn treasuries and put money and liquidity into the economy. And so now with all this liquidity going back to these financial companies, what are they going to do? They're going to invest, they're going to invest, they're going to invest. Okay. So Timothy Peterson, basically, he makes a prediction that we're going to see $138,000 Bitcoin in 3 months. He's basically a macro analyst that looks at the charts. I think based on memory, he believes a lot in Metcalfe's law. So he's an analyst. He looks at things. He looks at network effects, and he's making a prediction of $138,000. Also, I think Jamie Coots is another one from Real Vision. He thinks Bitcoin's going to do $132,000. He used to be a Bloomberg analyst. So these are just some people with their backgrounds. Who knows if they're going to be right? Who knows if they're going to be wrong? We don't know. Okay. So that's the story of what's actually going on in the markets. Strategy is hanging tight, man. Not only hanging tight, it's on an upward trend, which is good news, and we like to see that. Now, what happens when the U.S. dollar actually is getting weaker? Why is Trump actually liking this? Okay, so first thing is let's talk about what Trump's doing right now. So the U.S. Trump's not doing this in particular. So Trump doesn't have control per se over the U.S. Treasury. It's not Trump who's being like, buy back this. Now, he might be influencing, but Trump's not the one doing it, right? The U.S. Treasury is the one doing it. And so when they buy back the treasuries, the money's going back to banks. It's going to insurance companies, it's going to pension funds, it's going to hedge funds, and it's also going to foreign governments, all right? And it's also going to large asset managers like BlackRock and Vanguard. So these are companies that invest in things. And so they're looking to put their money back into other investments. And the investments they're going to put their money into now is as they're starting to see a change in the economy, one of the changes being the U.S. buying back its own treasuries. That is a shift in what's happening in the economy. So they're going to start putting their money back into maybe a little bit more risky assets. Gold is obviously not as risky of an asset, but stocks, Bitcoin, crypto, ETFs, and emerging markets. And if you look at the markets today, you look that Coinbase was up, Coinbase, the actual stock, Robinhood is up, some Bitcoin mining companies are up, the S&P 500 is up. So you're starting to see kind of a rebound, not just of Bitcoin, but other cryptos are rebounding, and other crypto-related platforms like Coinbase and Robinhood are also rebounding. So this is a good sign. And when the Treasury buys back its own treasuries, it's putting fresh dollars into the economy, which is why you and I actually like it. Okay. So two ways to stimulate the economy is the Fed cuts interest rates or Treasury buys back its own treasuries, right? When that happens, people spend more, they invest more, and they chase higher returns with the money because they've got more cash and more money to spend. It's just that simple, okay? So how does the liquidity actually affect the interest rate? So let's just take a look at this, all right? So one of the other ways is when the Treasury is buying back its own treasuries, it's actually reducing the supply of the bonds. So treasuries also meaning bonds, right? U.S. bonds, right? So they're buying back their own bonds. So when they buy back their own bonds, it reduces the supply. They're taking supply off the market, right? And so when they take the supply off the market, that pushes the bond prices up. Supply off the market pushes the bond prices up. And when the bond prices go up, the interest rate goes down. That's just how bonds work. Bond prices go up, the interest rate goes down. So essentially what the U.S. would have to be paying on those bonds and paying out in debt interest to people, those interest rates start to go down. Okay, so less supply, higher bond prices, but lower rates of return. Make sense? Lower rates of return that the U.S. now has to pay out on this debt that they're servicing, because that's what a bond is. It's debt that they're servicing. That's all it is. They take people's money, IOU, and they pay them debt. They pay them debt interest, all right? So even if the Fed doesn't cut, the Treasury buybacks can still bring down these long-term interest rates that we're seeing right now with the bonds, which means more cash equals less need to pay high interest rates to borrow. Make sense? So the rates will begin to soften because there's more cash in the marketplace. There's a less of a need to pay higher interest rates to borrow. Okay, so people don't have to pay higher interest rates to borrow. So that's one of the keys of having more cash and liquidity in the marketplace, which is a good thing. Now, why would Trump want to weaken the US dollar? You've heard people talk about this, like Trump's weakening the US dollar. Why is this happening? This doesn't make any sense. Why would you want a weaker dollar? Number one, helps US exports. Okay, it makes them cheaper for other countries. So it makes it cheaper for people to buy from us. So another country like Japan wants to buy from us, it makes it cheaper because the dollar is worth less. Make sense? American manufacturing. We know this is a big button for Trump. So when you have American manufacturing, this is a good thing for American manufacturing. The dollar's weaker. All right. Then finally, U.S. companies doing business overseas is another reason. Weakening the dollar helps U.S. companies do business overseas. And then finally, it reduces the debt burden as we're seeing right now. So these are the things that are happening. Weaker dollar plus lower interest rates equals faster economic growth. And that's the game. Weaker dollar, lower interest rates, faster economic growth. And that's what's happening. All right. So that's basically what's going on down in the marketplace right now. It's exciting. We haven't seen this in a long time. When's the last time we saw Bitcoin at 93,000? It's kind of been a while. You got to go like, right? When's the last time we saw Strategy at 352? It's like, whoa, what the hell's going on? All right. So the indicators are interesting to see what's going to happen. One of the guys was just talking, I forget his name, Bit something was the company that he was with. He's looking at thinking that we're going to have a breakout to 100,000 for Bitcoin, and saying this may be one of the last times we see Bitcoin at this actual price. But this is one analyst, and this has been said many times before. When we hit 109,000, we were all like, yeah, we may never see another $100,000 Bitcoin. And then we dropped down to what, 70 something thousand bucks. So you don't know how the markets are going to move. Number one. Number two, obviously this is bullish news, but you have to look at it from the perspective of the economy is all over the place right now. It's erratic. I mean, Treasury buybacks, we're buying back our own debt. Trump's trying to force the hand of the Fed. The tariffs are going on in the marketplace right now, and we have a 90-day kind of slowdown on that to see what's going to happen with other countries coming to the table. China and the U.S. are at war with each other right now in terms of a trade war. We don't know if there's ever going to be a negotiation there. There's lots of uncertainty in the marketplace, but it's good for Bitcoin because as this uncertainty takes place with the U.S. dollar and also with governments, right? With governments, people are looking for different types of assets to put their money in, and Bitcoin is happening to be a choice right now. And we're seeing this by the flow of UK coming into the Bitcoin, buying more Bitcoin right now, Japan buying Bitcoin. Okay. The US obviously has the strategic Bitcoin reserve, and we're going to see what happens with that. And the ETF inflows are going up with Bitcoin, 381 million or so in the last week. So we're seeing inflows go back into Bitcoin, and we're seeing that reflected in the price. And of course, you have Strategy, which continues to buy Bitcoin and bought another $555 million this week. So it's interesting. What's going to happen in the future? I don't know short term. What do I think is going to happen in 2025 and 2026? I think it's going to be a rocket ride. I really, truly do. I do not think we're at a peak at all for Strategy right now. I do think Strategy is undervalued. And I do think that Strategy, and I maintain my price predictions that you guys heard me say months and months and months back, and I've been sticking to it. I do think Strategy will cross $800. I don't know if it's going to happen in 2025 or 2026. I do think we will have that, and I do think we could hit $1,000 or $1,200 Strategy price point. Not financial advice, not tax advice, not investment advice, not legal advice, but that's what I believe, and that's what I'm looking at for my own portfolio on Strategy. I'm heavily weighted in Strategy. Then I'm weighted in Bitcoin, and then I hold some different kinds of Tesla positions as well, but a smaller piece of that. So I'm all in on Strategy, and I'm all in on Bitcoin. All right, and these are the two horses that I've been betting on for Strategy for the last year and a half, and Bitcoin for the last 7 years. All right, and I maintain my position on this with Bitcoin for the last 7 years, and I continue to maintain my position with Strategy. And so if you look at this stock, if you missed yesterday's video, I'm going to give you a 60-second recap on why I think Strategy is undervalued right now, okay? And if you want to catch the 2-minute updates again, you can go down below. There's a link down below for Endgame. It's a new social platform I created that gets you updates in 2 minutes. It's not released yet. You're just going to get on the early access list. All you got to do is enter a name and an email. But sometimes, as you can see, I do these shows for 20, 30 minutes. People miss part of them. They want the updates. So there'll be updates on Strategy. There'll be updates on Bitcoin. There'll be updates on Tesla. And there'll be 2-minute updates. And my AI will pop up on the screen and give you the most relevant data that day. Why the price is up, why it's down, not financial advice, what the future outlook is, fun facts about it, interesting things you can learn to increase your knowledge base. It's going to be a fun platform. Whole bunch of other cool shit is coming with it. But check it out. Go click the link down below, and you can get access early to it, okay? It'll be out in a couple weeks, and you can start playing around with it and getting the updates, all right? But here's my quick recap, all right? So here's why I think Strategy is going to moon, not financial advice. I don't think anybody knows how to price it right now. I just don't. It is not a traditional company. And yesterday I talked about traditional finance and crypto. And the two worlds are merging with Strategy, and one could say because of Strategy to a big degree. Strategy is a stock, traditional finance. Bitcoin is what they own. They don't sell widgets. They don't sell lemonade. They don't sell iPhones. They don't sell cloud services, right? They don't sell products in the main, right? Meaning they sell, of course, their software business, which is a very, very, very small percentage of the revenue. They're a Bitcoin company. They store digital gold, period. That's what they do. They gobble up Bitcoin and they store it in their treasure chest as digital gold. That's the function of the company now, which is why they rebranded, which has been their strategy all along to buy more Bitcoin. How do you value a company like this with $48 billion of Bitcoin on the balance sheet? How do you value a company? The market cap is around $85 billion. More now as the stock went up today, over $90 billion likely. Check the data. So it's trading, the market capitalization is high because people are willing to pay more for the stock, meaning the Bitcoin holdings is 48 billion and people are willing to pay a premium over the value of their Bitcoin holdings. All right. So people are paying more for the stock. But how do you value a company like this? If an Apple, if a Google, if a Tesla gets 15, 25x multiples on their earnings per share, right? On their earnings per share. So their net profit per share that they make as a company, they're getting 25, sometimes 15, sometimes 30x multiple valuations on it. So these companies get valued based on their future outlook and future forecasts. They also get valued on the quality of their product, right? And they also get valued on their leadership and their vision. So When you look at strategy and you go strategy, leadership, and vision, Michael Saylor, the team, have they stuck to their vision? Have they not wavered? Have they been consistent for 5 years? Do they keep buying? Check. Next box. Do they have a great product? Yes, they have a different kind of product. Bitcoin. One could argue that Bitcoin is better than an iPhone. Okay. One could argue that Bitcoin is better than a cloud service, right? Bitcoin is digital gold. It is the new asset, is the asset of the future. It's here now. This is what they trade in. Is their product good? Yes. Check. All right. Check. So what is the future outlook of the product that they trade in and the company itself? The future outlook of the product they trade in and the company of themselves is what? Whatever you think Bitcoin's going to go to. Do you think one day we will see $1 million Bitcoin? I don't think anybody's in disagreement with that, guys. I don't think if you talk to every analyst, well, not every analyst, if you talk to anybody who knows something about Bitcoin, not the people who are totally glib and don't know jack shit about Bitcoin, right? If you talk to somebody who knows something about Bitcoin, anybody who's studied it and put in the time will say there's no doubt that we will see eventually $1 million Bitcoin. Whether it's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we'll see $1 million Bitcoin. Saylor's prediction is that one day in the future, we will see a $13 million Bitcoin. Is that far-fetched? No, because if you take the rate of return of 29% a year for the next 20 years, you'd have about a $13 million Bitcoin. Is it far-fetched to say that Bitcoin will do 29% on average over the next 20 years? No. If the S&P 500 has been doing 14% on average, do we think that Bitcoin is a far superior asset? Yes, we do. So could it do 29%? Could it do 20%? Yeah. So could we get to a $10 million Bitcoin? Could we get to a $5 million Bitcoin? Whatever you think that's going to be, we know we're going to get to $1 million Bitcoin at some point. It's just the writing's on the wall. Anybody who thinks we aren't, it's like, take the blinders off. Not financial advice. One day we will get there. I'm not saying in 2025 or 2026 at all. That's not what I believe, right? One day we'll get there. So if you're looking at the future outlook of this company, strategy, and every other company, the Googles, the Teslas, the Microsofts, they get valued based on future outlook. Strategy is not being valued like that right now. So if you put a multiple right now on where strategy is, and you got companies like Apple and Tesla and Google getting 15x, 25x multiples, what multiple should you place on strategy? And if you were to put that multiple on, and it was a 5x multiple, I can tell you, the price would be a lot higher than it is right now, a lot higher. So could that be that's what the potential of strategy is in the future? Could that be that Wall Street will wake up because we know that 55 million people now have bought strategy to some degree, whether through ETFs or through different pension funds or retirement plans or just directly buying it, 55 million people, 13,000 institutions own some form of strategy. So we know the world's waking up. Now, soon they will wake up to the new valuation models. How do you price a stock, a company, where you're used to pricing stocks and predicting their future value based on the widgets that they sell? And now you have a stock that doesn't sell widgets. Now you have a stock, AKA strategy, that buys and stores Bitcoin. We just opened up a new era. And that's what we're a part of here. And the fact that we get it, this group gets it, the fact that people are into strategy get it is amazing because most of the world doesn't get it. And if you on the street and you go ask a friend right now, yeah, I'm invested in this stock called strategy. They're like, oh, I don't know what that is. Oh, you know what? It's MicroStrategy. They're like, what is MicroStrategy? You ever heard of Michael Saylor? No, who's Michael Saylor? Go to a party and test it out. Most people don't know. Most people don't know. So you have a select group of people, even though there's 55 million people across the globe that are invested in it, some of these people own the stock in retirement plans and pension funds. They don't even know they own it. It's just that the pension fund has made it available, right? So they're investing people's money into it, right? It's just these retirement accounts. Some of the people who it's their retirement account, they're investing money into it, just like they invest money in a mutual fund all the time. They don't know what mutual funds they have. So if strategy's in the portfolio and they're putting money into it, they don't. Some of them they don't even know that they own strategy. So there's 55 million that are touching or own strategy some way. How many people are actually aware that they own the stock? Probably not a lot. All right. So this is a new game. The new game. And I am extremely bullish of where we're going. Okay. So we got questions going on. Everyone just calls it MicroStrategy still. Yeah, we call it MicroStrategy. It just sounds better as MicroStrategy. If I say strategy, I feel like I'm putting in a strategy for my business. It's kind of hard to say. One day I'll get used to it, right? How will earnings play out with Fazby? Somebody's asking on Fazby. Well, we know that what's going to happen with Fazby and their earnings. They're going to obviously report a big gain on their balance sheet, because the way that Fazby worked before, as some of you know, is like it was basically reported with the Fair Accounting Standards Board that the way that they reported the Bitcoin on their balance sheet was at the price they bought it at, and not the actual market price of where it is right now. So as Strategy continues to report quarter after quarter right now of their quarterly earnings, and Bitcoin keeps going up, they're going to have billions and billions and billions of dollars of gains that they're going to show in their quarterly earnings reports. As they do that, they eventually are going to get selected onto the S&P 500. And when they get onto the S&P 500, that's just like an automatic buy all the time of money just flowing and flowing and flowing into Strategy, which will continue to lift the stock. So when's that going to happen? We don't know. Do they check the boxes for do they meet the qualifications for being allowed to be on the S&P 500? Yes, they do. Their quarterly their reports of the last 4 quarterly earnings, the sum of them together have to be profitable. All right. So that's one of the standards that checks the box for them to be allowed on the S&P 500. And then, of course, whoever's in charge of the S&P 500, they have to vote on it. All right. So once they vote on it, we'll see. And then once Strategy gets in, that's another way that people are just going to pour money into it. Okay. And that's also to my point that many people own Strategy through pension funds or retirement plans, and they don't know that they own it. People who invest in the S&P 500, when Strategy gets on, most of these people won't even know, who own S&P 500 index funds, that they own Strategy, because they won't even know the Strategy's in the S&P 500. Does this make sense? So, the smart money knows it, but your average retail investor who's just putting money into retirement plans or putting money into the S&P 500, they won't even know they're owning it until the news becomes so big that people just can't turn their heads when Strategy hits new all-time highs and they break through 600, 700, 800, 1,000. Then the world's going to start noticing even bigger. Okay. So that's what I think is going to happen. So this is a game. This is what we got going on. Somebody's asking me about any thoughts on other Bitcoin treasury companies. Yeah, I mean, my thoughts on it are simple. I mean, the most pure form of other Bitcoin companies that have Bitcoin on their balance sheet, the most pure form is Strategy. And you couldn't mock up a better play than them, because like other companies still sell widgets as a majority share of what they do. And so Strategy doesn't. So when you look at Strategy, they're just really a Bitcoin company. They, of course, have their software company, but that revenue is so insignificant. So when you look at Strategy, I don't know of any other companies out there there's no other companies out there that hit the amount of Bitcoin that Strategy has, that's for sure. But also in terms of the percentage of their overall company strategy, I should say of their company plan, of other companies' plans for putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet, as they add Bitcoin to their balance sheet now, the majority of these companies' revenue is still going to come from the widgets that they sell, right? So will it strengthen their company? Yes. As Bitcoin continues to go up. Is it a smart move? Yes. And why is it a smart move for companies that are struggling right now? Simple, because if a company is struggling right now, for their ability to go get loans and borrow money to help inject into their company, the interest rates are too high. So it's hard for companies to borrow money. Also, they don't want to issue stock because it dilutes their shares. Make sense? So typically when companies need more money, they're going to issue stock, they dilute their shares, and that's not good for the company. So they're not going to issue shares to get more money to invest in their company. So what are companies like that don't have Bitcoin on their balance sheet going to do? Simple. What they're actually going to do is they're going to start thinking about putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Okay? Because they're going to need to create a treasury war chest that grows in value, that doesn't erode in value like cash does. That doesn't erode in value like something that's earning 4% sitting in your treasury. If you're a company and you're earning 4% on money that's sitting in your treasury, you're losing money. Because we know the printing of money on average is 7% per year. So every year, the value of the dollar is going down by 7%, or the purchasing power is. So if I'm a company and I'm taking my cash that's in my treasury and earning 4% on it, or 5%, or 6%, or even 7%, because the money printing is 7% on average over the last 100 years, if I earn 7% and the money printing is 7%, I basically make nothing. So companies will wake up and they will employ and deploy the strategy playbook of buying Bitcoin. And it's only a matter of time, I think, where more and more companies, and it just becomes a standard thing. If you don't have Bitcoin on your balance sheet as a company, you're going to be like an outcast in the next couple of years. That's my prediction. 2, 3 years, 4 years, it's just going to be a natural thing. Okay. Right now, the companies that jump in to do this, companies have to start doing this. They have to. And the only company right now, as far as I'm concerned, some of the other companies that already have Bitcoin on their balance sheet can do it. But the only company who can really issue shares without really diluting, right? Because traditionally, as a stock company or a company that issues stock, as you issue shares in the marketplace, you dilute the value of your company. And so that's just the way it is, because you issue shares, you take money, you invest back into the company. It takes time to return that money and turn it into cash that comes back into the company in the traditional finance world. In the new finance world, it's different with strategy because they issue shares, they buy Bitcoin, and assuming the Bitcoin price goes up, you and me as strategy holders get more Bitcoin per share. So it's accretive for us as shareholders. In the other situations, when traditional finance, when they issue shares in their company, it's not accretive to them. It actually dilutes them. So that's one important thing to understand. So many people in the marketplace actually think that when strategy issues shares, it's diluting the shares, No, it's getting you more Bitcoin per share. Is there a temporary minor dilution in the marketplace when they issue the shares to buy more Bitcoin? Yeah, but they're issuing the shares to buy more Bitcoin to get you more Bitcoin per share. Make sense? Okay, so that's a good thing for us as a shareholder. And the market's starting to wake up to it. And as Saylor continues to issue shares and buy more Bitcoin, it's the reason why he went down multiple paths of not only we're going to issue shares to buy Bitcoin, we're going to issue debt and borrow money to buy Bitcoin. We're going to create a new product called Strike to buy Bitcoin. We're going to create a new product called Strife to buy Bitcoin. So there's 4 or 5 different ways that they have to buy more Bitcoin. And so he can tap any which one of these in terms of his Bitcoin treasure chest that he's building. Think of a general at a war, and he's got all kinds of plays he can run to buy Bitcoin. He can issue shares. He can issue debt and borrow money to buy it. He can issue more Strike. He can issue more Strife. And if you don't know anything about Strike or Strife, I'm just going to make it super simple for you. For companies that want fixed returns, they buy Strike and they buy Strife. Simple. They want access to strategy. They want access to the volatility of Bitcoin. They don't want the downside of it. They buy Strike. They buy Strife. It gives more of a fixed return, 8%, 10% payouts. And that's why people buy these products from strategy. What does strategy do with the money? They buy more Bitcoin. So you got the metaphor is this, which is just like insanely cool, right? You have a company that has they're going to money war, man, in the most positive way. They're going to go save everybody, right? It's money war to go save the world. And you got a general, but you don't just have one general, you got multiple generals. And the whole goal is go get as much gold as possible and fill up the treasure chest. Go get as much Bitcoin as possible and fill up the treasure chest. But as the general, I don't just have one strategy, no pun intended. I don't just have one plan. I can go out and collect gold this way. I can collect gold this way. I can collect gold this way. And I can collect gold this way. All right? What company on the face of the planet has that ability? Many companies can issue shares. Many companies can issue debt. Okay? Many companies can do these particular strategies. They've been along for a while in terms of issuing shares and issuing debt, but not many companies are out there doing it to buy Bitcoin. And that's what makes this the behemoth of Wall Street right now. The stock that most people don't understand. And man, the stock that is going to freaking go to the moon. That's my belief. All right. So that is the story. And not financial advice or, investment advice on it. I just personally believe that we are just getting started. And also, when the stock goes up, you hear me say this, it goes up. When it goes down, man. So if you're new to it, be prepared. If you're new to strategy, get educated on it, understand what it is, because the volatility is insane. And it's one of the reasons why it's one of the top traded stocks in the stock market. So the volume of trading that goes on with this stock in a single day is comparable to the Mag 7 trading volume, meaning Tesla and Google and Apple. Like, they obviously have a higher market capitalization than Strategy. They're the top 7, 10 companies in the world. And then you have Strategy, which is number 100 on the list, 100 and something. But the trading volume of Strategy is so high, and the amount of volume of trading that takes place on this stock in a single day because of the volatility. So traders love the volatility, investors love the volatility, but nobody likes the volatility when it goes down. And so that is just a disclaimer as you're getting educated on this. Look at the volatility up and look at the volatility down. And my personal thing as a disclaimer to myself, because I can give myself some advice on it, would be very simple. At some point when this thing hits a peak, it's going to come crashing back down. I don't think we're going to see a world where it just keeps going up and keeps going up. I think we're going to see a world where it's going to rocket right up, and then at some point it's going to come back down. And I don't know when that up point's going to be or when that down point's going to be. I do think that up point's going to continue into 2025 and may go into 2026, but it's coming, in my opinion, sometime in the next 12 months, and we're starting to see it happen. I do think we're going to see a run in 2025 on Strategy. And just know, as Bitcoin breaks 100,000, goes to 102, that's a 10% bump from here. Strategy will typically double. And we could see a world like we saw in 2024 that where Bitcoin goes up by 10% and Strategy goes up by 30%. Right? Because it's happened before. So we could see a significant run on this thing up, and then we could see a significant run down. Make sense? So beware, be smart. I'm not telling you to invest anything or do anything. I'm just saying, just be smart and just watch what this thing's doing. Great news on Bitcoin, great news on Strategy. I hope it serves you, and I hope you guys have a fantastic night. And I'll see you on the other side. If you want to get quicker updates, go to MGame down below on the link. You can opt in. We'll be releasing the platform in a couple weeks, and it gives you faster updates on what's going on with Strategy throughout the day, faster updates on what's going on Bitcoin throughout the day. So it's literally like an AI version of me that pops up and is like, hey, here's what's going on with Strategy, and here's why. Hey, here's what's going on with Bitcoin, here's why. Gives you some fun future facts about the stocks, and future facts about our future outlooks about the stock, future outlooks about Bitcoin. There's some other picks that I have on the platform as well. And you'll see. And then it's a whole social community that we built as well. It's going to be fun. All right. So I hope this serves you guys. Hope you're having a great time. I hope you're enjoying the ride. It's nice to get some good news. So well done on hanging in there over the last couple months. It's hard, right, to be there and just watch things happen and be like, oh, this is rough, man. You got to have a cast iron stomach, particularly for Strategy, and even Bitcoin. And so for those of you who've been at this a while or even brand new and stomaching it, good on you. Okay. All right. Have a great night. When I end the video, if you could leave a comment down below, that'd be great, because they don't show up because I stream on a platform right now called StreamYard. And so it streams across multiple platforms. And so when you make comments now in the box, they don't show up down below. So only when I end, if you can comment on YouTube, that would be helpful. Okay. And like it, share it with a friend. It's always useful. All right. You guys are amazing. Thanks so much for your support and being here. And it's fun to spend time with you. I think it's great to have a community.